Good early afternoon, good evening to those wherever you're coming in. It is 4 o'clock where I'm at on Eastern Standard Time. My name is Jenna Matlin, and I am so happy to see you guys. Thanks for spending some time with me. Hey guys, there's a lot of you in here, I'm thinking, but it's so nice to see you all. So we're going to get back into it because we don't have a lot of time together. And I want to be able to give you as much as I can within the time that we have. Hello, hello. So everywhere. So today we're going to talk about time. Time readers are time wizards, really. And for people like us, right, that are constantly reading about when and where and how and why, time is an important kind of thing for us to consider. And so today's presentation may leave you with more questions and answers, and that's beautiful, because to me, being a good reader means to never feel like I have it definitively, right? That I'm always questioning, is this the end? Is this it? Do I've got this, or is there more? How deep does this rabbit hole go? I'm so glad to see you guys. So let's get into it. Let me tell you a little bit about me. My name is Jenna Matlin. Hello, I'm a time wizard. I am an author of the recently published Will You Give Me a Reading? I have 2 self-published books before that, Have Tarot Will Travel and Have Tarot Will Party. And if you go to my website, which is jennamatlin.com or willyougivmeareading.com, you can sign up for an occasional newsletter. And I do free book clubs where we're going through Will You Give Me a Reading chapter by chapter once a month. So come join us. It's a lot of fun. I was the best spiritual guru of Philadelphia Magazine in 2019. I'm on Instagram and TikTok with my name. Everything is Jenna Matlin, Jenna Matlin. I've tried to make it as easy as possible. And I have been a full-time reader since 2012. I've been reading since, I'll tell you I know exactly the exact date I got my first deck. It was given to me by a drag queen, believe it or not. And I was watching O.J. Simpson run it in his white Bronco. So that tells you how long I've been reading tarot. Very long time. And many of you have been reading here a long time. So welcome to my seasoned readers and welcome to my new readers. Everyone is welcome here. So let's talk about time. Like, what exactly is time? I think that is really an interesting question. And in humanity, time is actually, the quantity of time is the most measured thing we have. We have measured it to greater accuracy than weight, than distance, actually, than mass, that humans are very preoccupied with time. But there's levels to that, which I'm going to get into. And what do we know about time? Well, time is something that does exist outside of our minds. It's not just a complete figment of our imaginations, but there is some argument over what time actually is. And the biggest argument right now going on is presentism versus eternalism. And in the quantum physics aspect of presentism, time travel is impossible, that the only thing that really exists is the eternal now. Well, the other theory is eternalism, which is that past, present, and future, and this is called block universe. It's all happening all at the same time. For those of you that might have watched the movie Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, that is more of an eternalistic model of looking at time. And so depending on what you believe, this is going to inform the way you read tarot for yourself and others. We also have our perception of time versus as it is. I'm going to jump back to that, but the human mind is really, really good. And this is what makes us unique among all animals, is that we are really good at predicting time, right? We can guess ahead that next spring, I need to plant these seeds in order to get a harvest in the fall. We're also very good at reminiscing. So the human brain is always reminiscing about the past or thinking about the future. So of course, tarot has arisen out of the human mind. The thing with with the human mind, though, is that we can have what's called a temporal prediction error, which means we've made a prediction and then we were wrong. What happened? What was going on there? We also have the subjective idea of time that most of us, when we do a reading, right, we go, okay, I'm looking for a house. Am I gonna get a house? Yes. Okay. When? Right? When we're asking that question, when, we're asking for a calendar time, which is kind of the synchronization of schedules. That didn't really happen until basically the Renaissance. Before then, it was all very natural time. But we want things in calendar time. But that's not how we always perceive time, because clock time is not the same as your subjective experience of time, or time as it is understood at the quantum level, at the physics level. Also, which is really interesting, is that if you do drugs, your perception of time is going to change. If you get into a car accident, right, or someone mugs you in a dark alley, time is going to move so incredibly slow. Any of you guys had that kind of a experience where your adrenaline is going and everything is moving in a very slow frame rate? And then sometimes it can be like a whole year has just flown by. Where did it go? Where did my life go? How did I get to my mid 40s already? What the heck? Right? So this understanding of time is that we have clock time, calendar time. That's one way of looking at time. You have the quantum physics way of looking at time, and we have our subjective experience of time. And when most of us are doing readings with tarot, we're really only looking at calendar time, but we don't have to. And that's the cool thing about tarot. Oh yeah, arrow. Here we go. So yeah, it goes super slow. And so the thing is I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing a prediction of tarot, I'm not necessarily getting a calendar date, am I? There's no calendar dates on tarot. And we can make our best guess as to this is a sun card, so maybe it's happening in the summer, right? So we're looking more at the natural or subjective or causal experience of time. So there's all these things going on. And then also we have our perception. So the way people tend to read, the quintessential first spread beyond the one card a day is past, present, future, isn't it? And that is the perfect model for the Western perception of time, that you have past, you have present and future, and they don't really interact with each other as much. They're kind of siloed and they're moving from left to right, like the way we read. But that's not how all cultures do it. And so when we look at predictions in tarot, we're looking at it like a train on a track, right? So it's like, okay, well, when am I going to get married? Or, oh no, I'm going to get fired. And then we freak out. But I think that idea of train on a track is really missing the beauty of how tarot actually shows up from a time perspective. We also have the cultural time orientation. So for example, what do you think? You guys can put in the chat. What do you think Americans most focus on? Past, present, or future? Out of those three, where is the culture of America really focused on? Versus, say, someone in China. America is very future oriented. And we can see it in that when you become old, you're basically ignored. No one cares about you, you know? But the idea of new, better, best, technology, innovation, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? But then if you go to China, China has a very deep history. And if you talk to someone in China, they're going to like mention things casually that happened hundreds and hundreds of years ago. They have much more of a past time orientation. So when we read for someone culturally, their orientation is going to influence what they want to even use tarot for. And then there's something called chronemics, which is the way people use calendar time. So America is, and the Western Europe is very monochronic, where it's like we have to be on time, we can't be late. But if you're in Latin America or Africa, it's kind of loosey-goosey with that time, the clock time and calendar time. So let's say that you were a reader from Nigeria, right? and you're reading for an American, and you say to her, oh, yes, your love is coming your way. And then the American goes, when? And the Nigerian will say, when your mother heals up from her surgery. And so for them, time is really based in the relational dynamics of other things going on around you. But the American goes, well, what does that mean? Is that July, August, September, November, December, right? Like we're all very focused on that calendar time. But it's not the only way to read tarot. We also have the spiritual and philosophical underpinnings that influence our relationship to time. So here's a question for you all, guys. Tell me, what do you think the difference is? So sometimes I'll do readings, right? And someone will go, well, she didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, right? Like, oh, I already knew all that. But I can get another querent where it says, she confirmed everything I already knew. Oh my God, it was so good. One of them is disappointed and one of them is relieved. What do you think the difference might be between those two? If I've said the same thing, I was just as accurate with each of them. The reading was super clarifying and super good. Why would someone be disappointed in that and someone else be really happy with that? Yeah, your expectations. That's a good one, Jolene. Oh, I like your name, Jolene. I'm sure you're sorry. You probably hear that a million times. Great song, though. One is future focus, one is past, what they wanted to hear, attitude. They wanted confirmation, perception, closed minds. This is great, guys. Not introspective. Hey, Eva. Yeah. Actually, you know what? I jumped ahead and I did want to say happy Juneteenth to those of us in the US. I totally forgot to say that. It's a very special day. Control versus ability to give up control. Deborah, that's a good one. And that really is it. So when someone comes to our table, whether we know them or not, you know, they are like that iceberg, which they're presenting maybe a question to us, and they're the part of the iceberg we can see, right? But then there's all this stuff below the water that is informing not only how they're approaching tarot, but also what they think they can get out of it and what they want from it. And that may not be a match with what you're offering. So when we look at the idea of fate and free will in a predictive reading, there are three types. We have predeterminism, that everything has already been laid out for you. There's a dude who's like chiseling into a scroll your life. We have determinism, which is kind of like you have some free will, but within reason. Like you can order off this menu, but that's it. And then you have indeterminism. Basically, there's nothing but random chaos. Have fun. Whatever you want goes. There's nothing determined at all. And so when people come in with, she already told me everything I already knew, that tends to come from people that have a more predeterministic perspective, which is like, I want to be shown new things that are already there. And someone who may be more free will oriented or deterministic will go, man, you've already confirmed. Okay, great. I'm on the right track. And we can tell where they're coming from when they're coming up to our table, just from the kind of questions that they're asking us. Like, how many kids will I have, right? That person assumes that probably that's already been hard written or fated. Is this meant to be? Is Chad and I, are we meant to be, am I meant to be an astronaut, right? These are those that's already been set for you. And you just need to adhere to what is already written in the stars for you. Then you have determinism, which often comes from should I questions, like, should I do this? Is this a good idea? What does the universe think about that? And then indeterminism, I don't get too many people that are just purely indeterminate. I don't know if they would even use tarot, unfortunately. But you see that more in like cause and effect. If I do this, then what happens? What's the most predictive thing? Causal loops. Causal loops are like, if I keep doing the same thing kind of over and over again, what does that look like? So even before, if you're just an amazing reader, right, and you're doing a predictive reading, just remember and keep in mind that how they may respond to the reading is really being informed by their philosophy of belief as they're coming to the reading. Yeah, I feel good about that second reaction too. Yeah, and we can ask both. I'm not here to tell anybody what to believe. I am here to offer you guidance in looking at this so that when you do see it, you go, oh, I think I know what's going on here. So the way I see it is I'm kind of a metaphysical meteorologist, and that's what I try to tell my clients, which is I'm kind of like a glorified weatherman in that what we are looking at is a probability line, and that probability shifts and changes based off of your free will. That's how I look at it. And I often have a hard time getting my clients to understand that because, especially if the news is bad, they're just hyper focused and feel doomed. When I'm like, wait a minute, you've just been given the most empowering thing ever. I like when I'm getting bad news because usually that means I can do something about it, right? And so, what is a tarot reading? What is it actually doing, right? And so when I talked earlier that people tend to look at time and their lifespan like a train on a track, and that the reading is revealing something that's further down on the track. I personally, after 10,000 plus readings, I don't actually think that that's what's going on. I think it's more like I'm at the base of a tree and I'm looking up, and tarot and all of its beauty and wisdom chooses just one branching off of the many possible. And that one branching off is usually the most likely, or the one that tarot is trying to get them to pay attention to avoid. So the future that is shown in a tarot reading is kind of a manipulation, in that it's not the objective future as much as it is the universe utilizing a story about your future to get you to do something, not do something, avoid something, run towards something, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's one off of the many. And so we have to ask ourselves, if the reading is telling us one branching off out of the many, why? Why is it showing us this one aspect of the tree but not that aspect over there? And it's not always the most probable, but it usually is in my experience. And so often the way I help my clients understand this concept is, hey, tarot is like the ghost of Christmas future, right? Scrooge is taken by the ghost of Christmas future to his future where he sees his grave and they go, oh my God, nobody cares. No one is at my grave because I'm an a-hole. Like everyone hates me. Right. And then the ghost of Christmas future deposits him back in bed as if it were a dream. And that goads Scrooge into completely changing his life. And that to me is what tarot does as well, more than anything else. But most people don't see tarot this way. They see it more of like the train on the track, right? But I think tarot is a living practice. It's hyper interactive and it's hyper dynamic if we can help our clients see that. And when we kind of break these ideas of this train on the track, kind of cultural, false but workable presentation of time, we then open ourselves up to all the things that tarot can do, but we're only limited by our imaginations. So in this slide are all the things I've done where I've broken that idea of time. One of my first ones is why, okay, so if tarot tells the future, why do I only see people using tarot to do past life readings? Why can't we do future life readings? Why not? Right? Like why are we limiting it what it can do? Like we limit it. We go, okay, well, tarot can do this, but probably not more than that, right? We limit it. It's not limiting itself. It's like game on, right? We can do a reading. I've done readings from my future me. So me at 85 or 80. What does an 80-year-old me want to tell me of today? So I shift the subject focus. So that future me is the subject focus. Who wants to talk to me now? I've done readings following, like, how can I be a good ancestor? And I've done readings on up to 7 generations, right? To use our indigenous wisdom in the US, that what would the 7th generation say about the actions I took or not took? Right. And if it's happening at the same time, I should easily be able to gather that information. We can also do present life readings. So, reading from another dimension, just like that movie. We can do hypothetical readings, right? Which path? What is the prediction of each path? And I think a lot of us use that a lot. And this is an interesting one. So, I sometimes love clients come in, and I'm certainly this too, where it's like nothing good ever happens to me. I have the worst luck ever, right? Everything is terrible. But that's such a subjective focus because we're not seeing all the terrible things that almost happened and didn't, that we're actually far luckier than we may believe. And so we can do a reading on that. What calamity almost happened to me and I wasn't even aware of it? What was the life-ending car crash I almost, like, if I was there 2 seconds earlier or later, that would have happened to me? We're not always aware of those things. So sometimes we can use tarot to be like, what have I almost fell into and I didn't and I had no idea? We can do past life readings, readings to heal your timeline. I've done this and I feel like it's kind of worked, where it's like you do a reading where you want to heal a younger you. So you are going back in time to do a reading for a younger aspect of you on your timeline. And then you're giving them advice, him or her advice, or them advice, according to the wisdom of yourself now. And I swear to God, I have felt a difference when I've done that. You can do a reading for your ancestral line. You can do a reading for a younger you. Like basically, tarot is really only limited by our own made up boundaries around how it works. Yeah, there's very few people who do future life progression readings. I Googled it. I was like, is anyone else doing this? And I couldn't find it. And I have, if you guys Google around, you can find all of these things on my social media somewhere because I've posted them over the years. But then we have, like, right, we're going to add some complexity. Knowing the future immediately changes it. We have kind of that, like, back to the future effect, right? Which is the moment I share a prediction with someone, the moment it enters their mind, it is by default, it is changed. And so people will go, well, you said this, but then that didn't happen, right? And it's like, yeah, because you changed everything. That's why. Or you made different choices as a result of knowing that. Or, Jenna, I did everything that, or I waited until April 1st. You said I was going to get my new lover on April 1st and it didn't happen. And I'll go, yeah, but did you do all the other things that the reading talked about leading up to that April 1st? No. Wah, right? And so we want to look at it from a deterministic perspective, that you're being given a menu. And then from there, you're making options. And so when we're doing predictions for others, here are some common challenges, because like I said, most people come to tarot with kind of this idea that tarot is like just like our lives and fate and time is just this train on a track, right? And so let me talk about some challenges that I see that we can help our querents with, or ourselves. So, Jenna, I've done all the right things. Where is my love? Where is my job? Where is whatever? And sometimes I get the feeling that it's not anything that they need to do or not do. It's almost like they're being held in a holding pattern because you have a lot of other free will involved. And so maybe your person, the person that is kind of the probability to meet, they got their stuff going on that they need to resolve before you two can meet. It's like these intersecting velocities. And so sometimes we have to just hang tight. The other thing I see as a common challenge is that prediction, like, say, okay, yes, there's going to be like someone for you to meet. She's amazing. Oh my God, she's so good. And then my client goes dating, and then he's like, Jenna, I met this next person, and she was horrible. Like, why did the reading say that? And I said, well, the reading didn't say it was going to be the next possible person that you meet. it said at some point in the future. And so that's what I mean. If we're overly focused on just the calendar aspect of time, we're going to miss it for the nuance it really is. So then we'll be so focused on the next one that's actually trash that we may have missed the one we were supposed to meet. And she walked right on by. That's what I mean. The stuff gets complicated. This is why we've got to pull it away from that, just a calendar-based way of predicting. And so when people are looking for black and white answers, often it's coming from a place of anxiety, or that there's a lack of accountability and personal accountability, which to me is part and parcel of what makes a reading so helpful and good. Yeah, there's a whole universe. And the more you're adding the free will of other people, the higher it's like tarot is this incredible chaos crunching number machine. And I don't think people appreciate the complexity into making a prediction at all, much less one that comes from spirit. So, oh my God, I can't believe I did this half an hour. So again, the art of reading is truly only limited to your imagination. This is really important. And this is the way I see tarot, that tarot, when people come to tarot, they often only see it as a hammer, but tarot is a Swiss Army knife. It's capable of doing so many incredible things. And we're only limited by our imagination and what it can do. And honestly, the more I read, the less sure I am about everything. And how all of this works. And maybe in another year, I'll have swum back, my philosophy will have changed. But I want you to think about, how can I break my perception of time to be a better tarot reader for myself and others? And we have like a minute or two. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, grab yourself on my website, jennamatlin.com. I have my free book club. I'll be launching a class here soon. Come and hang out with us. It'd be good to see you. Oh, you guys are so sweet. Thank you. You're most welcome. Oh, you guys are sweet. Any questions or no? You guys are good. I know I talk like a million miles a minute. This has been your favorite session, Pam. Ooh, it's so nice of you to say. I was like worried. I was like, oh, it's like me kind of talking around tarot. Let's see here. Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan. Client who got mad. Let me see because she asked me to do a reading about 2 possible paths ahead of her. And the reading definitely told her she needed to think about other options. Uh-huh. And she got mad because she picked a 3rd path instead of the other 2. And she said, I didn't tell her she had other options. Yeah. That's such a good thing, Jonathan. So, right. Like, say we come up with, we can only know what we know sometimes. And sometimes there are 2 options, right? And neither one at this time is the best option. And so I think that's really important. But as a querent, we're like, well, why can't one of these be good? Well, neither one of them is. There's a 3rd option that hasn't arrived yet that's going to be better than these next 2. So that's what I mean. Like, people want messages from the universe, but they kind of control how it's going to happen, right? And so as a reader, we have to keep the resistance of the ego and fear mostly in mind. Thanks for following me. Yeah, let's hang out. Oh, happy birthday. Thank you. Let's see here. Let me see if I can go through the questions. Sorry, it keeps moving around and I'm trying to, let me see. Sorry. Sorry, it's like plop, plop, plop. Can you use a past self reading to help heal something like money trauma? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what you can do? Like, here's what's crazy. It's possible you have a past self that had money issues and also a past self that was really wealthy, or a future self that's wealthy. So you can invoke the wealthy you in a timeline to come and heal some like other issues, and you can have them jump timelines. Like I don't know, Spock with the goatee, maybe he's going to be helpful for me in this universe. Yeah, why not? Do it. I will not be at Mystic South, Lorian. I was going to, but then Rachel Pollack is having an observance right after up in Omega in upstate New York. So I had to make the really, really hard decision to go up to Omega this year, but hopefully next year. I'd love Halloween. Ooh, you like using RWS nights as a determinant for time. Right. So, and that's the thing. Can we only use tarot for just the calendar concept? And here's another wacky thing. If you were the Yanomamo or Mamo in Amazon, they don't have a lot of words for future time. What if you are Navajo, where there is no past, present, future, but more like cyclical? So past and future end up collapsing in on themselves. What would a reading look like if you did that? So if we all get in a plane and we fly down to the Amazon and we bring, to some people go, how would you use this? Wouldn't that be amazing to find out? Wouldn't we learn so much? Spock with goatee. Yes. Oh, fast. Yeah, you can definitely get like feelings of movement for sure. Yeah, so time for one more question if anyone's got it. I don't know what reading for DID clients is. Like dead clients? Do you mean dead clients? I'm not sure. So the more you play with time and your concept of time and go, I had this rule for myself, but what if I break it? See what happens. It's incredible what shows up. Dissociative identity story. You know what? I just literally had a whole newsletter on how to handle that, and that is outside of the scope of this talk. Yeah, there's this whole technique I talk about. You might be able to, if you grab on my newsletter or email me, I'll send it to you. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Big, big hugs across the interwebs. And let's hang out another time and grab my book. It's a lot of what I talked is in here with a lot of other goodies. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, guys.